No one is above the law.
Fox 13 is following breaking news. President Biden has just pardoned his son Hunter, sparing him from a possible prison sentence for federal felony gun and tax convictions. The president had previously said he would not pardon his son or commute his sentence after his convictions in 2 cases in Delaware and California.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Hey, let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
And again, you've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no. And I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No. For you here. Go ahead, Phil.
Thank you. There was some confusion on this previously, and the president seemed to address this in passing as he was walking away from that joint press conference with
yes,
Zelensky.
I know the question, yep.
So I just wanted to clarify, President Biden has ruled out any type of commutation or reduced sentence for his son, Hunter Biden?
Yes, he has.
Thank you, ma'am.
Does the president intend to pardon any administration officials or people that Trump has threatened with any sort of legal actions? He's got 74 days, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I know pardons is going to be a big part of the questions that I get here over the next several weeks and couple of months that we have. I don't have anything to share or any thought process on pardons. Once we have something to share, we certainly will share that.
Secondly, his son, Hunter, is also up for being sentenced next month. Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
Your son, Hunter, is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes. With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins at the Owasso Live. This is the Morning Loop. If Democrats didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards, folks. That is the point of this show today. Holy cow, man. I mean, we knew he was going to do it. We all knew he was going to do it. There was no way he was not going to pardon his son. But again, what did the opening statement of that show say? Why are we pardoning? We're pardoning him from the, gun charges and tax evasion or whatever, right?
Yes.
That's not what they're actually pardoning him from. Those are two of the minor charges they're pardoning him from. But what they're really pardoning him from is the Burisma scandal. Him being on that board of directors and using his dad as leverage to get on the board and utilize and get that DA from it was Ukraine, right? Fired.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. It's not, remember, it's not what the media tells you should be trying to worried about. It's what they don't tell you. That whole Burisma scandal thing, the media was just like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds like, dare I say, misinformation. Guys, this is again, if people knew about this Burisma scandal, if they knew about the Hunter Biden laptop, Trump would have been president in 2020. This is the stuff that was declared misinformation. And then we were all thrown under the bus as conspiracy theorists. That's fake news. That's conspiracy theory. This is typical right-wing propaganda. But no, it's all real, and that's the one charge the media didn't even bring up. They go, oh yeah, by the way, you're only being charged. He's being pardoned from the gun charge and the tax evasion stuff. Now, and then and Burisma, and it's like, wait, what was that last one? Nothing.
Exactly, right here in this.
Who posted this? Yeah, Tim Pool.
Hunter Biden calls Hunter's prosecution selective, but it's his effing DOJ.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Trump ran it. The tax and gun charges are fake. The point was to create a pretext to pardon Hunter for all the crimes over 11 years. It's for Burisma, China, and more. You have to remember, he asked from 2014 to 2024. Why would you choose a specific date of 2014? Where was Hunter in 2014? He was on the board of Burisma in Ukraine. They are covering stuff up right now.
Yep. That's exactly right. That's what we need to focus on right here. This post from Tim Pool. And who was the original poster? Kyle
Cheney.
Yeah,
or
Kyle
Kenny
Cheney.
or something like that.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. That's what this is really about. It's not just the him. I mean, again, could you imagine if you or I had thrown, like, we were like, oh, there's police. I've been smoking crack in my car. I need to throw this gun, this 38 pistol inside of a dumpster outside of a school. No one will know. It's like we'd be in jail. Remember, we live in a two-tier justice system. Democrats get to live under the perks of pardon and skirting the rules of the law. And like, if that was a responsible gun owner who had done that, freaking out, it'd be like, well, you are going to have the book thrown at you. You are screwed, average American citizen.
Yep.
Again, this is crazy.
Again, this is from Clandestine. Joe Biden pardoned Hunter for all crimes he might have been involved in starting in January 1st, 2014. Why did he pick that date? Because 2014 is when the CIA State Department took over Ukraine. 2014 is when Hunter's biolab company, Metobatia, began looking for the coronaviruses in the Ukraine. Joe is not covering the drugs and gun possession charges. Joe is running cover for all Hunter's criminality in the Ukraine, which is Joe's criminality in Ukraine. This is not a pardon. This is a pardon for Hunter. This is a pardon for Joe.
Yeah.
You don't think that Joe Biden's drug addicted hooker, loving son wouldn't flip on him if he was about to go to hardcore prison?
If they were going to leverage that, I mean, they could totally use his son against him. Like, I mean, he's like, my dad abused me my entire life. Now, granted, would it matter? Joe's too old. I mean, Joe would last he would probably last about 30 days in prison before passing away, if that. I mean, Joe's got his wife and everybody else taking care of him. I mean, I guarantee you, people wipe his butt for him. He would not survive in prison for a week. Yeah. There's more of the upstanding citizen, Hunter, the guy who overcame his hooker, cocaine, and crack addiction.
Yep, and this is him with an underage girl, as you can tell right here.
Yeah.
I am not upset that Joe Biden gave his crackhead son, Hunter, a pardon for tax evasion and gun charges, which most conservatives would agree with. I am pissed off beyond belief that he got away with child pornography on his laptop and from the laptop from hell, and because of our corrupt DOJ and FBI covered it up.
Yeah, I mean, remember, this is first prosecute Trump for stuff that happened 30 years ago. This happened like 5 years ago. Hunter Biden in bed with this like little teenage girl.
Yep.
But again, it's like what nobody cares. Like, I mean, remember, it's like when Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel were crying because the Trump administration lost 300 migrant children. Well, guess what? Joe lost 300,000 migrant children, and nobody's batting an eye. The media is not. There's not like a missing child tally underneath CNN. There's not like a hey, what bring our kids back. None of that. Like, I mean, people are under the impression that the bring our kids back thing is just nonsense. But again, they don't report on that. It's again, if they didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards, which basically they do because morality is relative. Morality doesn't come from Christ. The fundamental foundations, building blocks of our country wasn't Christianity. It's just moral relativism.
Yeah. Then let's not forget this here. Politico, this is from June 6, 2024. Biden says he won't pardon his son Hunter. And then January 1st, 2024, only a few months later, Republicans say Biden is a liar after he pardons his son Hunter.
He is.
That's it.
And was that not Defiant L's that posted that?
It was End Wokeness that posted this one.
See, I'm surprised Defiant L's hadn't already posted
there's a
that.
bunch from Defiant L's that I've got in here.
Oh, okay.
Joe Biden makes history as the first president to pardon his criminal son. That's from Alex Jones.
Well, it doesn't matter because everybody on the left's just going to be like, well, Trump's a criminal. We have a convicted felon in office, despite the fact all charges have been dropped against Trump. But, they're not going to report that.
Yep. Elon Musk posts this one. Fate loves irony, but hates hypocrisy. Then this is from Warren Relick. Chasing Dreams. And it's from these posts from Brian Rosenwald. 2020, Trump abused his pardoning power. Abhorrent. 2023. I'd be shocked if Joe Biden pardoned Hunter. Now, oh, it's fine.
It's fine.
And that's exactly what this is. You can see from this Brian Oswald guy's tweets here. Like, all these people here, like, all this power, and there's zero impact on 2024 since Hunter isn't involved in his administration. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, he's obviously leveraging his dad's authority in Ukraine and in China.
Yep. Now, here's Defiant L's, what you were looking for. Brooklyn Dad, Defiant. If you're not guilty, you don't need a pardon. And then President Biden pardons his son, Hunter.
But remember, again, Brooklyn, a dad Defiant. He gets paid $10,000 a month to make posts for the left. Yes, he's a propagandist for the Democratic Party.
Yep. Next one is from Harry Sisson. Hey, Donald Trump. Nobody is above the law in the United States. Then Harry Sisson now. Breaking news. President Biden has officially pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. It's his full statement below. I fully agree with his decision.
God, this kid is such a shill. Like, I mean, you watch any interview. Like, he was on Piers Morgan. Like, the kid has no bona fides. He has no leg to stand on. His job is to be a propagandist. He gets, again, like the Brooklyn Dad Defiant, he gets paid a lot of money by Democratic PACs to basically toe whatever the line is that they want him to toe.
Yep. Then there's this one. Democrats, your double standards one here. Mm-hmm. Dems, nobody is above the law starter pack. Except for Hunter Biden with his laptop, Hillary Clinton with her email scandal, Ghislaine Maxwell with her client list, and Anthony Fauci with his research.
Yeah, I want to talk about two of these things here. Remember, the Hillary Clinton email thing, like they were like, hey, she just deleted some emails off of her laptop. No, that's not what we're talking about. She had servers upon servers. She used bleach and she burned them.
Yeah.
She had a private server.
Hammers.
Yeah.
Breaking them with hammers, burning them, and washing and like bleaching
set
them.
Fire to them. Like, it's not like she had a laptop and was just going through emails. Delete. That's not. She had all of her staffers go down to a basement full of computer servers to destroy these computer servers, bleach them, burn them, put acid on them. That's what it was. And then Fauci thought AIDS was an airborne product. Like, he thought anybody could get AIDS. That's how dumb Fauci is. Like, he was the guy in charge during the AIDS epidemic. It's like it wasn't an epidemic. It was a bunch of degenerates pounding each other in the pooper.
Yep.
Like, and they couldn't figure that out. Yep. So, again, folks, Fauci is he went to get a doctorate. But like I said, just because you got a doctorate doesn't make you smart.
Yep.
You know what they call the person who finishes med school last?
Doctor. Next one is from Declaration of Memes, and this is from the Lincoln Project. When MAGA cultists complained about weaponizing the justice system, remind them that President Biden refused to show favoritism towards his son. He has a commitment to our rule of law and our justice system, regardless of who's involved. Well, look who's laughing now.
Beware of foot and mouth syndrome, folks. Mm-hmm. It happens to us all at some point, but holy Lord.
Clown world, no one is above the law. Joe Biden, community notes. God, this is why I love freaking X now, or Twitter or X. Joe Biden has pardoned his son Hunter of all criminal convictions as of December 1st, 2024.
Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you for buying X. These community, like, again, how awesome is it that someone like Rachel Maddow can post disinformation on X, and then the community notes can come after her and be like, she's lying. This is what makes Twitter so fantastic now that Elon Musk bought it. The world can see that the news media outlets are bold-faced liars. But, I mean, it's like, again, if YouTube became the free speech platform again, if they had somebody like Elon Musk in charge besides Google, think how great YouTube could become.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because every time you mention the word climate change, like right now, I just said climate change. When we post this to YouTube, it's going to put climate change underneath the YouTube. It's going to talk about that and be like, link a Wikipedia article underneath ours because it thinks we're going to be spewing misinformation about climate change.
Yep.
And we could be spewing facts about it too, but it's just going to put that note under there so you know that there's potential misinformation in there. Isn't that crazy?
Yep. Then, of course, there's this one right now. The innocent don't need pardons. Joe Biden pardoning Hunter. The left. Hitting both buttons at the same time.
I love it. That's such a great meme.
Mm-hmm. And that's really, I think, that's pretty much all the Hunter Biden stuff that I have. There is one more, and it's pretty dark. I got to scroll back up to it. But
really?
I mean, it is. It's
darker
it's
than
as bad
the one where
as
he's
this
with the
one.
teenager?
Yeah, because that's all it is it's literally the book, what we call the book. There
Oh,
it is,
my.
right there. That's the book. This is his crimes.
Oh, somebody made a book of all of his crimes.
Yeah.
So like, is this like a published book? So like, I could go on Amazon and like find and buy this book.
Probably. Let me see here. Okay, in spite, this is from Dr. And I'm going to say this name, Anastasia Marie Lupus. In spite, a 630-page report on the Hunter Biden laptop from hell documenting 191 sex crimes, 128 drug crimes, and 140 business crimes, Hunter Biden has been pardoned by Joe Biden. America is the most... Sorry, I got to turn that music off. America is the most corrupt place in the world. And look at this book. This is just a book full of the Hunter Biden laptop report.
Marco Polo.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
just look at that.
I might invest in this book just to look at it. That's awesome.
Look at that. Look at all those pictures.
Picture book with, I mean, my goodness, that's amazing. So somebody aggregated it and published it. That's amazing. That's the level of corruption we're living with, guys. You could post a book that has literally screenshots and pictures. Like it's like a children's book for like criminality. That's amazing.
Yep.
It's amazing. But and like I said, remember, he's pardoned now. You like Pontius Pilate, his hands are clean now.
Mm-hmm.
Golly.
Yeah, but that gets us to our main topic of today, which of course is government overreach. And it's Joe Rogan talking with Marc Andreessen, who is a kind of a tech guy. He's been
a tech mogul.
Yeah, and he's friends with Elon Musk. And this guy, I mean, we watch this. The stuff that they talked about on the Joe Rogan podcast was ridiculous regarding government overreach. Mm-hmm. And like they're talking about how the government and banks are deplatforming conservatives. And this just goes to show you that the left has like political protection from these things, whereas the right does not.
Well, I mean, it's like what happened in Canada with the truck drivers protest during COVID. Like they all went to the Capitol and they were like, they froze their bank accounts. The state of Canada, or the country of Canada, froze these protesters' bank accounts. They wouldn't let them travel places. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, that's scary stuff. I mean, again, they can change your behavior by freezing your bank account. They can change your behavior by making you unemployable. It's like, hey, you can't feed your kids. You can't have a roof over your head. You can't pay your mortgage. We're not going to let you have a credit card. We're not going to let you bank anywhere. That's how you change human behavior. Yep. Like, they do it behind the scenes. You'll never know. And as far as you're concerned, if you're just a layman and someone goes, I can't get a credit card, I can't get a bank, and you go, well, you must just have bad credit. You know, they'll blame you. And it'll be like, well, you should be a smarter investor. You should be smarter with your money. It's like, and if you try to tell people, I can't get one, and I think the government's not allowing me to do it, you'll just be like, well, you just sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist. Remember, what's the difference between truth and conspiracy theory? About 6 months. Yeah.
Less than that sometimes, but yeah, it's wild. But anyway, here, you also sent me this one. I forgot to pull this one up.
Oh, yeah.
The Department of Justice protecting Joe Biden, protecting Hunter, and he's lighting his freaking crack pipe.
Yeah, I did send that this one. That's good.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. But anyway, I got to find my videos for today. And I guess we'll start with the shorter one first, because I've got a lot.
You might just have to give us some fuel there, because we're already running a little late on time.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. They'll go start with the short one. Okay, I'll start with this one. America is going bankrupt fast. The federal government today puts more interest on debt than we do in a budget department for the Department of the Defense. We pay $1.2 billion a year just in interest on a debt. Total government spending is about $7 trillion. Interest payments are $1.2 trillion. The DoD is $180 billion. And then a year, the total debt is $35 trillion, and it a lot more. And it adds another $1 trillion of debt every 100 days. So I'll go ahead and just play this. This guy is a genius. Yep. A genius.
Let's hear it.
You want me to put it up in the multi-screen, or you want me to just play it right here?
It's however you want to do it.
All right, I'm going to do it in the multi-screen. Hang on. So we're in full screen. All right, here we go.
Number two, you can bring down government debt, which means you can bring down government interest.
No.
What's this, a Twitter video?
And the government today, the federal government today, pays more in interest than we pay for the Department of Defense.
Right, but how much of that is salary?
No, that's just interest on the debt.
Right.
That's just interest on the old debt.
Okay.
We pay like
Just pause real quick. That just goes to show you how uneducated Joe Rogan really is. I'm not saying he's dumb, because at least he goes to explore these things, but he literally does not even know. This is such a high concept. Joe Rogan doesn't even understand this guy. I don't even truly fully understand what he's talking about, but I understand. He goes, this is not their salaries, bud. We're just talking about, this is just interest that the government is paying. This has nothing to do with salaries.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, how much is that as their salary? It's like, he's just thinking, oh, this is their money.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get back to it.
$1.2 billion a year right now, I think, is the latest number, which is just interest on debt. It's not paying for any good or service. It's just interest on debt. But again,
what percentage of that is of the GDP?
Well, the total government spending is on the order of $7 trillion. Interest payments are like 1.2 trillion, something like that.
1.2 trillion.
I think that's
a year.
the current number. DoD is 800 billion a year.
So 1.2 trillion.
In. Just off the top. Yeah, just off the top. And again, no tax. Nobody's benefiting from that. It's just interest payments.
That's bananas.
Right. And total GDP is like I don't know. It's I don't know. It's 20, 30, 40 trillion. It's it's much larger than that. But like still,
it's enough.
This is a lot of money. And the total accumulated debt is 35 trillion. And the total accumulated debt is 35 trillion, and it adds another trillion of accumulated debt every 100 days. Yes.
Oh my God! It hurts my head.
There's a Congress.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So get to the other one where he's talking about deplatforming and you know,
absolutely. That's this
the
one.
silent censorship.
That is this one right here. Let me pull it right up, and we'll get started.
New in financial services. And
can you give me an example?
Well, I could say, debanking. This is where a lot of the debanking comes from. Is these agencies? So debanking is when you as either a person or your company are literally kicked out of the banking system,
like they did to Kanye.
Exactly, like they did to Kanye. My partner Ben's father has been debanked.
Really?
We had an employee who
for what?
For having the wrong politics, for saying unacceptable things. Under current banking regulations, here's a great thing. Under current banking regulations, after all the reforms of the last 20 years, there's now a category called a politically exposed person, PEP. And if you are a PEP, you are required by financial regulators to kick them off of to kick them out of your bank. You're not allowed to have.
What if you're politically on the left?
Well, that's fine.
No,
because they're not politically exposed.
So no one on the left gets debanked.
I have not heard of a single instance of anybody on the left getting debanked.
Can you tell me what the person that you know did, what they said that got them debanked?
Oh well, I mean, David Horowitz is a right wing. He's pro-Trump. I mean, he said all kinds of things. He's been very anti-Islamic terrorism. He's been very worried about migration, all these things.
And they debanked him for that.
Yeah, they debanked it. So you get kicked out of your bank account. You get kicked out of you can't do credit card transactions. But by the way, you can't.
How is that legal?
Well, exactly. So this is the thing, and then you go into this thing of like, well, there's no. This is where the government and the companies get in.
Just a quick pause, but yeah, this is what you were talking about. Where like the truck drivers in Canada now, people are like, oh, that's Canada, but this has happened here too. David Horowitz, this is happening with Giuliani. I'll actually find his video where Giuliani's talking about this happening to him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Giuliani was complaining about this. You know what's interesting too is what happens to that money? Do they just leave it in that bank account, or do they? I mean, I guess if they were smart, they would take all that money, put it in an investment to where they could gain like some interest off of that investment, and then put it back if they ever allow. But again, that's making an assumption that they would give it back. Like again, if the bank goes, we no longer want this person to be able to use it, like, can they just take that money and make it disappear?
Theoretically, they're not supposed to, but that's what they get to talking about here in a second, is the fact that it's supposed to be protected by the government, but it's not. The banks aren't government owned, but they can influence the bank saying, hey, we would really prefer you not to
give that money.
Do this. So it's like it's not the government technically doing it because the bank's its own private company.
Mm-hmm.
And they get into that here in just a second. But I mean, it's wild. This is wild stuff.
Intertwined, back to your fascism point, which is there's a constitutional amendment that says the government can't restrict your speech, but there's no constitutional amendment that says the government can't debank you, right? And so if they can't do the one thing, they do the other thing, and then they don't have to debank you. They just have to put pressure on the private company banks to do it. And then the private company banks do it because they're expected to. But the government gets to say, we didn't do it. It was the private company that did it. And of course, JP Morgan can decide who they want to have as customers, of course, right? Because they're a private company. And so it's this sleight of hand that happens. So it's basically, it's a privatized sanctions regime that lets bureaucrats do to American citizens the same thing that we do to Iran.
Whoa.
Just kick you out of the financial system. And so this has been happening to all the crypto entrepreneurs in the last 4 years. This has been happening to a lot of the fintech entrepreneurs, anybody trying to start any kind of new banking service because they're trying to protect the big banks. And then this has been happening, by the way, also in legal fields of economic activity that they don't like.
Yep.
And so,
boom. But that right there also says why Democrats don't like new businesses, because they don't want there to be a new business that comes in and shakes up the market. They want to control like 4 or 5 businesses, say that there's no monopoly, and then just leave it as is because they can control those businesses.
Yeah, let's say you wanted to become a venture capitalist and invest in a new bank. You might be willing to take bigger risks on new business startups because you're trying to make money. So you would take a bigger risk on investment
In
to
hopes of
try to
getting a
get a
better
big
return.
return. But now it's like the banks are so big, it's like going, well, you don't really have any established credit, and you don't have this, you don't have that, and we just don't see this being a profitable field. So no loan for you. We're going to stick with people who we know.
This is what we're talking about. With Democrats defending their donors, like, you are actively, this new business is actively a threat to my donors, to one of my major donors. I'm not going to support this.
Well, number two, it doesn't even have to really be that. It can just be, it can be the opposite. The other business, instead of it threatening because a politician probably doesn't care notice about the business. Like, he's too busy trying to get reelected. What is, a business will look at something coming up and be like, if we throw up more roadblocks through government bureaucracy and paperwork, it'll be significantly harder for this new business to start up and stay in the market. So again, it's just savage business practice. And then the savage business practice just happens to be in tandem with the government because they go, we need to regulate more so we can make sure our competition and the new startup business can't break into the market because they won't be able to follow all the rules and regulations. They won't have a full-time team of lawyers being like, yeah, no, this is okay, that's okay. It's like they could be like, oh, we didn't dispose of this water the correct way, $100,000 fine. Congratulations, you just bankrupted your business.
But getting back to that, it's like, a big business that has lots of money, like Walmart, any type of big corporation, can afford any type of new regulation or costs that come from government bureaucracy that they're advocating for. A small business is like, hey, you actually have to give health care to all your employees now.
Yeah,
this new startup business is, I've only got like 10 employees. I can't afford to pay them any more than what I have right now.
It's the Bernie Sanders mentality. Well, if you can't afford to pay your employees health care, then you shouldn't be a business anyway. Well, basically, all you're saying, Bernie, is that only big corporations should be allowed to do business. And anybody who's trying to start up and compete, it's like, look, if I make enough money one day, I will happily pay my employees health care. But until I get to that point of profitability, I need to be down here in the dirt struggling and being able to hire people that would be like, will you still be willing to work without health care? And they're like, yeah, I guess. It's like, I need the money more than I need the health care.
And remember, that's the difference between a business owner and an employee usually, is the business owner will withhold their own pay to move forward the business, where the employee goes, if you asked an employee, would you work here if you thought that you weren't going to get a paycheck tomorrow?
Exactly.
They would say no.
Exactly. Remember, the business owner probably won't see a profit for the first 3 years of his business ownership. Every dime he makes has to be reinvested into the company. Or he or she.
Yep. But we'll get
And then after that 3 years, if it's a profitable business margin, yes, then you can start being like, hey, I can get $100 million, whatever salary they can afford to pay themselves because they did the work. They spent their time in the mud, and they took the huge financial risk doing it.
Yeah. And what's that saying, that like 90% of businesses fail within the first year?
Yeah, first year. And again, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I mean, that's the same way with gambling too. It's like I'm going to the thing. If I don't throw my money big out there on the table, then I won't be able to. If I never throw down any money, I'm not going to risk winning the money, but I also risk losing everything too. It's the same in business.
Yep. All right, well, let's get back to this video because they keep talking about a lot of good stuff, and they even touch on some of the points that we just brought up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's funny. We're going in the same thought process that this guy is.
So a lot of this started about 15 years ago with this thing called Operation Choke Point, where they decided to, as marijuana started to become legal, as prostitution started to become legal, and then guns, which there's always a fight about. Under the Obama administration, they started to debank legal marijuana businesses, escort businesses, and then gun shops, just like your gun manufacturers, and just like you're done, you're out of the banking system. And so if you're running a medical marijuana dispensary in 2012, like you...
Oh, which, speaking of which, that also brings me up to something. Remember, all the banks started removing gun shops. I remember this. Banks started, credit card companies started removing the ability to purchase guns.
Yeah, that's right.
They're
They
gonna
were
keep
tracking
track of
all
it,
firearms, and they were going to make a registry of all the people who were buying guns. Like, it's like I'm pretty sure, like, every single transaction you use your credit card with already keeps a record. So it's like when I go to a gun show or I go to a gun shop and buy a gun, it goes Bob's Gun Shop on the thing. And it's like, he spent $800 here. I wonder what that $800 was. It could have been parts and accessories, but more than likely, that big lump sum is probably a rifle.
And
So
the government can make that assumption. But yeah, I mean, if anybody knows guns, I mean, flashlights, lasers, scopes cost just as good ones anyway. Cost just about as much as a gun.
a
or
good
a rifle.
flashlight's. I mean, a decent flashlight's going to run you about $300. That's the price of a crappy pistol. You know.
100%. But anyway, but yeah, I'm just saying that those are points. It's like, yeah, they were keeping track of that stuff now.
But I mean, but the whole point is they already were. It's like anybody, like the Discover statement, Visa, whoever you have, like that's a record that will be kept on record forever. You know, it's like it's on your receipt statement when you pay.
Yep.
So they were already doing it. The problem is now they're saying we're happily disclosing all this information to the government now.
Yep.
But not to
Crazy
say that
stuff.
the government couldn't already figure it out. They just like, hey, show us the receipts for this guy, and like it's just like the Ring doorbell shit. It's like the police actually can just take that stuff. They don't have to ask your permission to use your personal Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
They don't have to ask for that.
I'm pretty
footage. They
sure
can just
that's
go to
even
the
in
company.
the disclosures for those things.
Yeah.
Like we have the right to use this footage for whatever we want.
Perfect
which is
example.
scary.
Perfect example. The camera you have facing out on the highway right now. Who we bought it from, they go, you can't do that. Like they're like, we don't want to be connected to your security system. We just want to use it to have a camera that streams 20. And they were like, you can't use our camera for that. And they were like, well, we already effing bought it, and we're not buying your service, so stop us. You know, like we were like, get wrecked, because literally we bought this camera that's on their live stream. And they're like, "Oh, cool! So now we're gonna get these guys using our security service." And it's like,
Well,
why didn't you purchase that from us? It's because we didn't want
Which
that.
is even kind of goes into like what we talk about with like the gaming stuff. It's like you technically don't own with these digital downloads now with video games. You technically don't own the game anymore. Like that's what something that people would do is they'd buy a game and then they would like make modifications and stuff to it because like I said, once you buy it, it's yours.
Yeah,
now it's like you actually don't own it, and if you do anything that we don't like, we can stop you from being able to play
Not even
it.
that. So like it's like the food, like that show Food Wars was on PS4 or whatever, the PlayStation Store. They just like, I guess somebody bought the rights to Food Wars and they said you can't own it. So people who purchased seasons of Food Wars, like let's say you bought every season of Food Wars off of your PlayStation, they were like, well, PlayStation doesn't pay the lease for this anymore, so you can't have it. It's like you never officially own anything. It's like when you have a Netflix thing. It's like the same thing as Netflix. It's like we have Jurassic Park on here, but only as long as we play Universal their licensing fee for it, and all of a sudden it's gone. But it's different because you paid money to PlayStation for Food Wars specifically, and all of a sudden Food Wars is gone.
Yeah,
it's like we never owned that license, even though we sold it to you.
That's one of the reasons why I was always worried about buying, because I've bought movies on YouTube and Prime before. They could literally, like, if the Prime decides, hey, you disregarded our terms of service, you don't have a Prime account anymore. So that means you've lost access to stuff.
Same for
that
YouTube.
You bought.
If you forget your password to your YouTube account, or like let's say you get 3 strikes and they just kick you off YouTube on that particular account. Let's say I bought Top Gun Maverick on YouTube. If they delete my account because violations of terms of service or whatever, I lose all the money I put into that account. It's scary stuff. That's why physical media is a really important thing. It's like they can't take away your DVD. Now the problem is, will we ever have think about this? Will we ever have like a DVD repairman? Like I can put my DVD in there and watch it, but pretty soon they don't make. I mean, they used to have DVD things built into the TV.
Yep.
Boy, we are really off topic now, and we probably need to wrap up. We don't have to keep watching Mr. Andre Dressen here, but what we've been talking about today is why it's super important. Like they can debank you, and again, you'll just look like the crazy person talking to the wind, being like, the government debanked me, the government debanked me. You're like the homeless person on the street going, they're putting stuff in the water, you know, you're Alex Jones now. People don't give a damn. And again, you'll just look like a crazy person if you say, I can't get a credit card anymore. In other words, well, that's because you're bad with finances. It's like, no, I'm not. But what are you going to do? Show everybody your statements? I mean, I could show everybody my credit score. Like, I have a perfect credit score. Well, then why can't you get a credit card? Exactly. You tell me. Scary stuff, man. But like, this is the world we're living in now. Again, where you'll own nothing and be happy. So we live in Crazy times right now, folks. Crazy times. Thank goodness we got the officials elected that needed to be elected, so maybe they can roll back some of this awful regulation and tell banks to quit doing shady stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I've got the Giuliani video pulled up if you want me to play it real quick, where he's talking about he's getting debanked. I don't know if we have time.
I mean, we really don't, but you can play a little bit of it.
All right, give me 1 second here.
Well, it turned out exactly as I expected. He ruled against us on everything. Also, the trial he set down for the period of time during President Trump's inauguration, he really doesn't need to have it because he's going to rule against me. If you were sitting in that courtroom and couldn't figure it out, you're stupid. I've been practicing law for 56 years. This judge had actually written what he decided because he was reading from it. This has been true throughout the case. We've had not one ruling in our favor. His background is serious left-wing Democrat. Yes, he was appointed by Trump, but he was appointed by Trump because of the 2 Democratic senators and because in New York we appoint Democrats because of the deal that was made a long time ago between Javits and D'Amato. So this is about as left-wing as you get. I knew his father. His father was a great litigator, but left of left of left. This is punishment. It's punishment for being the one who revealed, first, Joe Biden's 30-year criminality. I'm the one who revealed it, nobody else. He hated me since then. He's been trying to torture me, stop me, take everything away from me since then. Anyone associated with me. Then, of course, the real indignity was, I'm the one who produced the laptop for the New York Post. I love the New York Post, but they have forgotten.
Pause it.
Half the...
And if you remember, Sacha Baron Cohen tried to destroy Giuliani with his little movie where he had like his fake daughter. He said that Giuliani was doing inappropriate things with his daughter when all he did was pat her on the back going, no, you're doing a great job on the interview. You don't have to worry about it, you know. Like, being human, being kind is viewed as sexual assault now. Because this girl, his daughter, was acting like she was doing a bad job in this interview, and she was so nervous and so embarrassed. And then she goes, look here, we have impropriety. He's trying to sexually come on to my daughter. You know, it's like, and he played it off as like it was this big scandal. When you watch it, you're just like Van Jonesing. You're like, this is a nothing burger.
Mm-hmm.
He was just, if he found the girl attractive, he didn't make any, sure, should he have touched her back and said, no, you're doing a fine job, dear. But it's like that act of human kindness is also viewed as sexual assault.
It looks bad because they're in the bedroom of a hotel room, but the problem was the interview was in a hotel room.
Yes, that's where they conducted the interview, so they can make it look as shady as possible for his retarded film.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've never liked Sacha Baron Cohen for his Borat stuff. I thought it was all retarded. People loved it. I don't know why. Like, I remember being one of the few people in high school that was like, people were just like, it's the best movie ever. And I'm like, it's freaking dumb. Like, there's nothing to it. There's naked people chasing each other around in a hotel. And like, that's why it's great. And I'm like, why is it great, though? There's nothing to it. There's nothing of substance here. It's just shock and awe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go ahead, and he's going to talk about getting
This is
debanked.
where he talks about getting debanked right here.
Cases, I convicted people, and I tried the most significant cases in this courthouse in the 20th century and prosecuted them and convicted them. And they were like real criminals, organized crime, terrorists, Wall Street, massive crooks who covered $2 billion for the federal government from Milken and Boesky. I prosecuted Nazis. What do they prosecute now? Republicans. Or people like Adams who criticize Biden and then they go after him for upgrading his tickets. This case against me is a totally phony case in front of a judge even worse than him. The judge I'm going to have the motion for contempt in has the heaviest record for sentencing J6 people. Nobody sentenced them to jail for long. When she was the chief judge, she told the other judges they weren't given heavy enough sentences. Did I have a fair trial? I didn't have a trial. Half the time she was threatening to throw me in jail, like he is vaguely doing. Meanwhile, he said something that's totally untrue. I'm not worried about Mr. Giuliani having... The reality is, I have no cash. It's all tied up. So right now, if I wanted to call a taxi cab, I can't do it. I don't have a credit card. I don't have a checking account. I have no place I can go take cash out except a little bit that I saved, and it's getting down to almost nothing. I have a business. I can do business expenses, but I'm very careful about that because God forbid I should make a mistake between a personal and a business expense. Unlike Hunter Biden, I go to jail right away.
There you go, right there.
This is
So,
a pure app.
That's what he's talking about. That's what we're talking about right there. He has been debanked, deplatformed, and his money's all tied up in equities and stuff, and he can't pull it out. There you go, folks. I mean, that's Giuliani. That's a former mayor of New York City. He's been a litigator for 57 years. Can't get into his money because he's been debanked. Credit cards won't touch him. Credit card companies won't let him do business with them. That's somebody that has power. And now he's been rendered powerless because the punishment is the process. That's what it is. Again, the punishment is the process. You're sitting there and like, I can't feed my family. I can't afford to drive anywhere. I can't use my credit card. The credit card companies won't do business with me. It's crazy, folks. And that's Giuliani, somebody who's been in politics, somebody who has attained power in this world. What chance do you have? It's crazy, folks. Absolutely crazy. And we live at the mercy of a corrupt system. You know, that's why don't put your faith in people. Don't put your faith in the Republican Party. Don't put your faith in the Democratic Party. Put your faith in Christ, because that's about the only thing that you're going to have in this world. Because this world's not our home. This is just a testing ground, man. So that's about all we've got for you today. Just wanted to kind of show you the puppetry and the sophistry and the evils of the big government.
Well, just high government overreach, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and to show that it's completely politically biased.
Yeah. It's crazy, folks. It's an evil world we live in. But like I said, that's why you got to try to live as a light in this world. Try to be the best person you can be. Love your neighbors. Love those around you. Pray for our leaders. Pray for our political leaders. Pray for the world leaders. Pray for those around you who aren't believers. You know, love your enemies. Despite the fact we hate the injustices that are being done, like Hunter Biden getting off scot-free. We hate that. But pray for him. Pray for him in his addiction. Pray for him and his problems. Pray that he finds and comes to the light and repents. That's about all we can do. That's the only thing we should do. Don't pray for their failure. Don't pray for their suffering. Pray for their salvation, is what I'll say, folks. So despite the fact that we're telling you the news and we're telling you about all this injustice and telling you all this about all this corruption, be a light despite those things. Be a good person despite those things. Don't be a nice person. Don't be a toxic, empathetic person. Tell people the cold, hard truth, but also tell them in a loving way so we can hopefully fix this crazy mess. The only, what's the quote? The evil prevails when good men do nothing. Is that right? Is that
it's
the only way evil triumphs?
The only way that evil triumphs is because good men stand and do nothing.
Yes. Yeah. So just remember that, guys. You know,
that's partially why we started this channel.
Yeah. Don't act out in anger. Act out in love. You know, be like that Cliff guy, the guy that goes around to all those college campuses and preaches the gospel. There are kids that spit venom and fire at him, but he still comes at him with love and kindness and respect. But he doesn't back down. He's like, gives him that stern dad voice talking to. It's like, hey, you're not being honest with me right now, And that's the thing. We live in two political bubbles. We live in, the left's getting their information from one side. We're getting our information from one side. But we can more easily define what the left's worldview is than they can define what our worldview is.
Yeah,
because we're just Evie. Yeah,
Steven Pickering has always talked about this. Like, the right can
justify
and articulate the left's positions more than the left can do. And they said, he goes, hardly any people on the left, they just go, it's just because they're evil. It's like they don't have a way to rationalize it. It's just, they just come out as an attack standpoint. But yeah, sorry.
No, you're good, man. But I think that's about all we've got for you today. This is the Twins with the Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. But that's about all we've got for you today. God bless you.
See you later, everybody.
He was gonna get his laptop fixed, but Hunter got high. He wasn't gonna show all them dick pics, but Hunter got high. He was gonna get his laptop fixed, but Hunter got high. He He wasn't gonna show all them dick pics, but Hunter got hot. He